So welcome to the first of hopefully many tourism conferences. This is the brainchild of our Destination Groton Committee, and it's just a wonderful event, and I'm so impressed that they were able to pull this together, and I'm so happy to see so many of you here. For those of you who don't know, the Destination Groton Committee was appointed by the Groton Select Board back in January of 22, and they've been very busy to date, and they're the reason that we're here today, and they have a wonderful program set up for you. Members of the committee are Greg Sheldon, Jeff Gordon, Julie Platt, Joni Parker Roach, and Brian Bolton. I would also like to recognize and thank the conference sponsors and co-hosts, the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce, the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce, and the Groton Business Association. The speakers that they have lined up for you today is very, very impressive, and we think this is going to be a very productive and informative session. I also want to point out that at the end of the conference today, for those who are interested, there'll be a tour of the Groton Hill Music Center. I highly recommend it for those of you who have not experienced it. It's an amazing facility. So I would say have a great conference, and as we like to say here in Groton, thanks to their new tagline, enjoy the experience. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the chair of the Destination Groton Committee, Greg Sheldon.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see all of you here. I'd like to start by talking about Destination Groton. Mark mentioned that we've been in business a little over a year and a half. It's been like drinking out of a fire hose, but this is the end result. I hope you don't get wet, but here we are. Destination Groton mission. Our mission is to tell the quintessential New England story and help bring it to life. Our goals include engaging all town stakeholders, collaborate with strategic regional partners, and celebrate our civic pride. Our objectives include promoting our many attractions, increase local tax revenues, and maintain the town's quality of life. Our background: Groton has a small town New England charm that serves as a solid base for making it a successful destination community. Groton has an extraordinary landscape with access to open space, a fascinating and important 368-year, soon to be 375th year, history with numerous historic buildings and sites, rivers, farms, orchards, and a quintessential New England town center. In recent years, the advent of new restaurants for fine dining and the restoration of the Groton Inn. This is such a beautiful facility, and the pride we get from seeing this, just driving past it every day, is tremendous. In recent years, the advent of new restaurants and fine dining restored the Groton Inn has contributed to enhancing Groton's strongly positive destination reputation. While long recognized as a haven for the arts and culture, the opening of Groton Hill Music Center, a world-class music, education, and performance venue, has accelerated the pace and increased the geographic range of people coming to Groton. Increased visitors will benefit local businesses and many nonprofits and will generate increased revenue for the town and the region. As Groton develops a targeted commercial business space to serve both residents and visitors coming to the region, it will realize a significant share of the economic benefit. Destination Groton has formed a series of regional partners to date, including local, state, and federal elected officials, 2 regional planning commissions, and 2 regional chambers covering a 250 square mile radius area from Fitchburg to Lowell. We have been working closely with the Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission and have to date been awarded 3 major district local technical assistance grants. One was a contract to assist us in developing a 10-year strategic blueprint that has been executed with a scope of services that will equate to a $45,000 value. The second award has covered a cost of accessing a grant writer, which is very important. And the third is to conduct a traffic study for Groton. We have at least twice a day traffic on our main street, and it's a major issue that we want to address, and we hope to do so through a traffic analysis. Finally, we recently, through the efforts of Senator John Cronin, State Representative Margaret Scarsdale, and Representative Dan Senna, they were successful in securing a $15,000 state appropriation in the FY24 state budget for Destination Groton to fund improvements to the town's extensive trails network. One of the assets we like to talk about in Groton is the fact that we have 110 miles of roadway, we have 130 miles of trails. And it's one of the most densely, we have over a third of our property set aside in conservation. And people have really discovered these trails, especially during COVID. So we're very, very proud of that. Destination Groton has embarked on a comprehensive marketing campaign to promote Groton and its many attractions while working to preserve the beauty and the charm of the town we all love. I want to take a moment and switch to highlighting some of our new website that we're so proud of. This has been up about 6 months. You can see in the beginning here, our logo, that represents Groton Hill, which is right there, and the two rivers in town are in blue. And I like to say the trees are the broccoli. And enjoy the experience. We did a focus group, and it came back more and more that different people experienced Groton in their own way, whether they love the trails or the dining or just the outdoors and the farming. So when you come to Groton, let's really enjoy the larger experience. And I think there's a lesson there for all of us as a region. Let's scroll down, Brian. I don't want to make you dizzy, but I just want to show you some that we talk about our history. History includes some very prominent people over the course of history. George Boutwell was a governor, a senator, and he worked for President Lincoln's cabinet and President Grant's cabinet. Had President Grant visit Groton in 1869. We, of course, have our nature and recreation, arts and culture. We're quite known for that. And where else can you go and order your dinner right in front of you? You can pick out your steer. Sorry. Scroll down to the bottom. We're so proud of the newest arrival in town, and we're so pleased that Lisa is here to speak this morning about the relationship to Groton. Let's go to the next. Enjoy. Although here's dinner again. Let's keep going. Groton has really become known for a wedding destination. And as Brian suggested, we have a wedding industrial complex here, which is good. And you can see the beauty. This is Bancroft Castle, which is on the top of the hill. And so, again, it's one aspect of what we think is an experience. And of course, there it is, the hospitality, the Groton Inn. Let's just scroll through. Yeah, we have various festivals, from Groton Fest every year, Winter Fest. We've got River Fest. And here, I'd like to dwell on this a moment. Several years ago, the town select board came up with a slogan that said, "All are welcome." And indeed, all are. So we're very proud of this. When you come in from every location into town on our major highways, you'll see a rock that says this. Let's do region. Just quickly, this is our map again of what we're talking about this morning. Slide down, please. Here's an example of thinking outside of Groton. This is a regional map that highlights not only interesting aspects that come visit within the region, but those surrounding the region too. And we have more work to do. There's some blank spaces there. Part of our desire today is to learn more about how we can promote the region and put more up there. But scroll down, please. Just quickly, so the Fruitlands at Harvard, the Botanical Garden in Boston, Fitchburg Art Museum, Museum of Art, the Russian icons, the Whistler House in Lowell. So these are reasons to come out here, 30 miles from Boston, and we'll have speakers talking about the impact to the economy that tourism brings. It's a clean industry. We have lots of assets. Finally, let's go to our partners. You can see we've partnered with Groton Hill Music. Lisa has been open from the very beginning. Here's a shot of Dan Senna first visiting John Riley when he was the chair of Select Board, and Congresswoman Laura Drahan. So we're partnering with our elected officials. We're interacting with what the bigger agenda could be for the region. And so far, it's been paying off for Groton, and we think we can leverage that into a relationship with all of you. Back to the slides. So community. Together we recognize the region as a hidden gem for tourism growth and stand committed to preserving its beauty. Together we can build support for regional and collaborative tourism marketing, themes, and efforts. Finally, building a sense of community is vital to our progress, both in the lives we hope to shape and in the pride we share as a region. Remember, there is unity in community. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn over to I would now like to introduce Roy Nasimato from the North Central Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce. He's been a real partner with us and a major sponsor of this event. Welcome. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start off with thanking Destination Groton, and I want to thank the committee members and town officials that serve in that organization. I think we should ask for a round of applause. Thank them for their tireless efforts, all volunteers, so thank you. So I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. I have 15 minutes, and this presentation usually takes about 25, so I'm going to fly through this. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards. So I want to start off, first slide, please. So a little background on our organization. So we are a regional chamber of commerce, the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce. Regional chamber, we cover 27 communities, including the town of Groton. Basically, the official communities that the state and federal government consider North Central Mass. New Hampshire border down to just above Worcester. East, we stop at Lake Pepperell right there. And west, we stop at Athol. So 27 communities altogether. We're a pretty dynamic organization. We're involved in a lot of things. Our mission is really to advance the economy. It's focused on advancing the economy here in North Central Massachusetts. We do a lot of different things. We have several affiliate organizations underneath our umbrella that work towards economic development. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all of them. I'm mainly going to focus on Visit North Central Massachusetts, which is our economic development tourism arm. But we do have a tourism entity that does lending and technical assistance to small businesses. We've done some loans here in Groton. We have a foundation that does a lot of work with our schools. We give out over $50,000 in scholarships every year, including to a lot of seniors graduating from school here in Groton. And we have a new entity called the North Central Massachusetts Land Bank, which is economic development, but more on the land development side, working with our municipalities and with developers. Next slide, please. So forgive me, I just need to take a minute and mention this. We're really proud of this. We were recognized as the 2023 National Chamber of the Year. This is the most prestigious and toughest award to get of any chamber. Thank you. First chamber in Massachusetts or New England to have ever received this designation. And I bring this up because I think that speaks to North Central Massachusetts and the 27 communities that we have here. This is a very special place, a place where business leaders step up, community leaders step up, and we get things done. So just want to bring that to your attention. So next slide. So again, I'm going to mainly focus on Visit North Central Massachusetts. Next slide. So our mission is really, bottom line, this is the mission statement, but really it's about focusing on bringing visitors and groups out here to North Central Massachusetts, recognizing that there's an economic impact. If we bring visitors here and groups here, a little jingle in their pocket, they're going to spend money in our communities. They're going to stay at our local hotels, visit our local restaurants, go to our local attractions. That creates tax revenue, that creates jobs, that creates prosperity for our local communities. So that's really the fundamental reason why we exist. Next slide. So a little history of our organization. We really started, it really goes back to the 1990s. When Fort Devens was closing, there were about 6,000 jobs that the region was losing. We had a couple of major employers that were downsizing. So the economy was in really rough shape. The chamber, business leaders, collaborated with our community leaders and led this kind of thoughtful economic development comprehensive regional planning process. And out of that came this plan called Blueprint for the 90s. And a lot of things came out of that are still driving our economy today. But most notably, our regional tourism strategy came out of that Blueprint for the 90s. In 1996, we formed what's called the Johnny Appleseed Trail Association. That's our legal name, really as a regional destination marketing organization, recognizing, again, that we wanted to bring more tourists out here, more visitors, created an economic impact. We had really humble beginnings. We started with a tourism guide that's still published today and distributed at over 350 locations throughout New England. We opened a visitor center on Route 2 in Lancaster, and we started a website called appleseed.org. In 2010, JADA, the Johnny Appleseed Trail Association, became recognized as the official regional tourism council for North Central Massachusetts. So basically, we're the Convention and Visitors Bureau for the North Central Massachusetts. That opened us up to competitive grants from the state, matching grants that we have to match with private sector dollars that we could use towards the marketing and efforts that we do. And then in 2018, we rebranded, and we became known as Visit North Central Massachusetts, recognizing that we have a pretty dynamic region. Not every community has a connection to Johnny Appleseed. We're really proud of that heritage, but again, wanted to be more reflective, and we did a lot of research, and there were a lot of reasons why we decided to rebrand, and it's been very successful since then. Next slide. So I'm not going to focus on the impact at the state level because Kate Fox is here, director of the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, and she's phenomenal, great rock star executive director, and she's going to focus on that. So I'm going to skip over this. But I can tell you that it's a really important sector of our economy here in Massachusetts. I want to talk about the impact of tourism here in North Central Massachusetts. So we've done some research. We did a study with RKG, and we know that based on that research that it is the largest employment sector in the 27 communities here in North Central Massachusetts. If you take up all those industries that comprise the tourism sector, hospitality, restaurants, attractions, about 19,000 jobs in the region, and about 16,000 of those jobs would benefit potentially from visitors coming to the region. So the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, their research office, just released calendar year 2022 data for the visitor spending here in North Central Massachusetts. And in 2022, it was $194.6 million in direct visitor spending. Again, let me repeat that, $194.6 million in visitor spending just here in North Central Massachusetts. Most of that was domestic. About $10 million was international spending. That's direct spending. That doesn't include indirect spending. Businesses involved in tourism are also spending in the economy. That generates jobs and indirect spending as well. About 1,100 jobs, $50 million in payroll, $12 million in state taxes, and $6.27 million in local taxes for our communities so they could provide the good services that residents and businesses need in their communities. What's really powerful to me is that $195 million in visitor spending, in 2004, that was $14 million. So we've gone from $14 million to almost $195 million. I think that speaks to the impact this industry has in our region. And we saw a 39% increase over the previous year, over 2021. That's one of the highest increases of all of the 16 regional tourism councils in the state. So our region is doing particularly well, and that's not unusual. we've been seeing pretty strong growth in our tourism sector here. We get some data from Smith Travel Research, and rooms revenue for calendar year 2022 in the region was $63.7 million. And that's up 19% over pre-pandemic numbers. So pretty strong. Calendar year 2023 through September of this year, occupancy is running about 73.7% for our hotels. That's up about 4%. Room revenue is up 11%, rates up about 9.5%. And all the indicators, RevPAR, ADR, all those indicators that hotels and the lodging industry uses are all pretty strong for our region. Next slide. So how about Groton? So if we just took Groton out, in FY22, I went to DOR and pulled their tax revenue for fiscal year 22. That's July 1st to June 30th, so it doesn't align with calendar year. But in fiscal year 2022, Groton generated from its local portion of the rooms tax revenue almost $175,000. And then they also have local option meals tax, and they generated $242,000 in local option meals tax collections. Now, I have to point out that the meals tax is not all visitors. Obviously, there's a lot of residents that also go and visit local restaurants. So a lot of that is generated from residents, but it is an indicator and can point to the impact of visitors to our local economy. According to Mott, in calendar year 2022, visitors generated approximately $21 million in direct spending here in Groton, and and they also generated about $1.4 million in total state taxes. That includes state rooms tax, excise tax, property taxes, gas tax, that kind of thing. So I mentioned we have a visitor center in Lancaster that generates about 160,000 annual visitors. And we tell the story of North Central Massachusetts, including Groton, to visitors that visit the visitor center or stop there. In FY23, North Central Massachusetts saw an estimated almost 2 million unique visitors. This is from a source called Datify, and that's up 54% over fiscal year 2022. The average length of stay for a visitor here was 2.6 days. That's up 13%. And almost 65% of those visitors that came to North Central Massachusetts stayed at least one night. So they stayed overnight in the region. So where are they coming from? So we're primarily a day trip and weekend destination. And visitors that are coming to our region are primarily coming from within a 250-mile radius. The average is about 239 miles that a visitor comes to North Central Massachusetts. Our top market is Boston. 26% of visitors coming out here to North Central Massachusetts are coming from Boston, greater Boston. But we also see a lot of New Yorkers, Connecticut, other markets, basically New England. Next slide. So I wanted to mention this. I mentioned the blueprint for the 90s. This is our new regional plan that we started in 2020. Great time to start regional planning process. And involved a lot of community input, a lot of qualitative and quantitative research, a lot of stakeholder interviews and focus groups. And out of that came One North Central, which is our new regional economic development plan to help guide our economy over the next 10 years. And the reason I bring this up, all of our work that we do really aligns with that plan, really to move North Central Massachusetts forward. But we identified 4 priority industries that we as a region should focus on, and one of them was tourism. So we're really looking to double down on tourism because we see the impact it can have on our economy and how it can support other industries as well. So I want to shift gears here a second and talk about who we're marketing to. So we have three target markets that we primarily focus on. One is what we call the short-term leisure traveler. So this is by far all of our research and our input from our members and stakeholders is the biggest potential. And these are leisure travelers. We're a 4-season destination. We offer activities throughout the year, and this is a great place to come. We have a lot of agritourism, a lot of orchards and farms. We have the largest concentration of orchards here in Massachusetts. And there's a lot of people, obviously, coming from Boston that want to connect with their agricultural roots and take the family and go pick apples. But there's a lot of other things to do for families and winter destination skiing and that kind of thing. So, again, the average is about 239 miles that a visitor is traveling here to North Central Massachusetts. Next slide. The other big market is very much aligned with this. It's a families coming out for youth and amateur sports. We are a big youth and amateur sports destination. We've got the facility in Lancaster, the Mass Youth Soccer facility, hosts a lot of tournaments. Devon's hosts a lot of tournaments. We have the new sports facility in Fitchburg hosting a lot of tournaments. We've got, again, over 800 agricultural businesses and orchards, and a lot of them have open space so they can host events. You can see the Spartan Race, which was hosted here in the region. This is the Drone Racing League that we were able to recruit here to the area. Didn't bring in a lot of visitors, but the crew that filmed that took about 200 room nights, so it was really, really impactful for our region. Next slide. And the third target market is what we call associations, corporate, and other. And this is, I think Greg alluded to it with the weddings. You know, we want to bring out, this is important to our members, especially in lodging, you know, that weekday travel, Monday through Thursday, bring in groups that, small associations, you know, we're not a big convention destination, we're not going to host a big convention, but a lot of associations, small meetings, weddings, elements of the Smurf market, social, military, religious, and fraternal, coming out here, having an event at a place like this, again, that generates economic impact for the local community. Next slide. So our advertising and branding strategies, how am I doing on time, Greg? I don't want to go over. 2 more minutes? Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to go through this real quickly. We have a really pretty dynamic marketing kind of strategy. We do a marketing plan every year. We have a website, visitnorthcentral.com, very engaged in social media. We publish that guide to North Central Massachusetts, very popular. We distribute that throughout New England. We operate the visitor center. Next slide. We do a lot of paid advertising, and these are some of the platforms that we advertised this past year. A lot of it's digital, but we also do some print advertising, Local IQ, Mass Live, Hearst, Yankee, AAA, Boston Magazine, Visit New England, TripAdvisor. Next slide. Trade shows, business development. If you're in the business world, you know that a lot of that kind of business development activity going out to trade shows, we do that. We participated in both Dream Destination shows. We didn't do NISE this year. That's the New England Society of Association Executives. Bridal Expos, Discover New England. We do things like the Big E. We're at the Big E this year. Next slide. Public relations, FAM tours, familiarization tours. For those of you that aren't familiar with those are where we invite influencers, travel media, other influencers out to the region to experience the region with the hope that they will write about it. That's great advertising, right? So we've done quite a few in partnership with Mott and with Destination Groton and with the Groton Business Association, including some here in Groton. And we just recently hired a public relations firm in partnership with 2 other regions, sharing the cost to help us generate even more interest among the travel media and other influencers. Next slide. And we have a couple special collaborations. We have one called Out in MA, where we partner with the state and another regional tourism council to promote LGBT travel. Next slide. Ski Mass, which is a winter campaign, very successful, promoting the region as a ski destination, working with Mott, with other regions that have ski resorts. Next slide. We have a partnership with Massport. We have some advertising at Terminal B in Logan Airport and at the Worcester Regional Airport promoting the region. Next slide. And then we're really excited about the shoulder season project. We're working with 2 other regions, Metro West and Central Mass. We received a federal grant through the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism to really expand our advertising during the shoulder season from November through April. And that's a pretty dynamic, includes streaming, digital, print, public relations, and more as part of that campaign. Next slide. And then collaboration. We collaborate quite a bit. We have a really deep relationship and a close relationship with the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism. They are a great partner. They are promoting the entire state, domestically, internationally, and we partner quite a bit with them on a number of different ways. And we also partner now with Destination Groton, so we're really excited to have Destination Groton as a new partner. Most notably, this past year, I think we did at least two FAM tours with Destination Groton and the Groton Business Association, where we brought in some influencers. You can see a picture here. These are group tour operators that came out to Groton and the region, and you can see them here at the hotel. Next slide. So I want to end here, and I want to close with this. So what is the future of tourism? So, tourism is really driving our economy here in North Central Massachusetts and the state. But what worries me is we've seen a lot of growth in this region because of this targeted marketing, but without proper marketing will it last. So we really need to make sure, next slide, we need to make sure that we're collectively advocating for the resources. Our state, I think we're 42nd out of 45 out of the 45 states for investment in tourism marketing. And so this is really competitive. States, other regions, New Hampshire wants these visitors. Vermont wants these visitors. They want those tax dollars. They want those jobs. So we have to compete. And so we have to continue to invest in this type of thoughtful marketing and thoughtful efforts to really promote our state and our communities like Groton that want those visitors and want to benefit from that. So we really need your help. Participate in our collaborative regional approach to promoting tourism. Help educate the public. There's a lot of people. I hear it all the time. I have to go out to the city council meetings and select board meetings, and I hear there's folks that believe that this is all fluff. That's really not. The visitors are just going to come on their own. And that's not the case. Again, it's very competitive. And so relay those good stories to other businesses and partners and to the communities, and help motivate state leaders and municipal officials that investments in organizations like Visit North Central Massachusetts, the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, and Destination Groton are really important and are financially sound and will help generate additional tax revenues that will help drive our economy and provide good services to residents and businesses in our communities. So thank you very much. I think I went over. Apologize. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Jeff says I can take a question or two. So does anyone have any questions? By the way, I have to acknowledge Henry Tessman is in the back of the room. Henry is the general manager of Great Wolf Lodge and is the chair of the board of Visit North Central Massachusetts. So thank you, Henry, for your service. So any questions?
Is Devon part of your region?
It is, yes. Yeah.
How does the redevelopment of Devon, how does that play a part in your
It's been very powerful. If we, per my slides earlier, it's become quite a sports destination. They have a lot of open fields there, a lot of lacrosse, a lot of soccer tournaments. Just one tournament can generate $1 million of visitor spending in a community. So there's a lot of restaurants in the local communities. A lot of the hotels do well. So I think the data, don't quote me on this, I'm doing this from memory, but I think it's $134 from $134 on average visitor coming out to a tournament. So if you take your kids to a soccer tournament, you stay overnight, and on average each person's spending about $134 in the local community. So, thank you. Thank you. Nice job. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for coming this morning. My name is Jeff Gordon. I'm the president of the Groton Business Association, a proud sponsor of this event, along with Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce and North Central Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all again for coming. It means a lot to us. So can I have Ann Goby and Kate Fox come up, please? Okay, Ann Goby joined the current Massachusetts administration, the Healy and, I'm sorry? Driscoll. Yeah, Healy and Driscoll administration. And she is the Director of Rural Affairs in Executive Office of Economic Development. And this role was created as part of this new administration, and she will primarily serve to advocate cultivating economic development in rural communities. Am I correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, Kate Fox, she became the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Office of Tourism and Travel, also again with the Healy Driscoll administration. But previously, she was the Executive Director of the Destination Salem initiative, which is wildly successful. So we're looking forward to asking you guys some questions. And I happen to have a few. So we got a great description of the local metrics, local numbers, local revenues. But it's great. It would be great to hear about your perspective at the state level. So can you describe the current and future economic impact of travel and tourism in Massachusetts and if you're able to, for this particular region?
All right, am I on?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. This is the question why I brought up my notes, so I get the data correct. And I want to commend Roy. Congratulations again on being the Chamber of Commerce, National Chamber of Commerce of the Year, and just leading such a tremendous regional tourism council. And I don't want to repeat what data Roy provided, and he really did a nice job with the local and regional impact. But I can tell you for the, if I can get to the right page, the statewide impact, tourism in Massachusetts is up 6% in 2022 over 2019. We're benchmarking everything against before before times, before COVID, and not when we went off the cliff in 2020. Seriously, I should have turned the page before I got the microphone in my hand. But we are up 6%, generating $24.2 billion in revenue across Massachusetts. Massachusetts, for the domestic market, we are up 6%, and North Central Mass is trending ahead of the statewide average for economic impact. So congratulations to all the work that's happening here. You're doing better than the rest. Don't tell the rest. And I will also say that international travel since before the pandemic is still lagging, and the 2022 data showed that it's about 44% behind where we were before COVID. I think 2023 is going to show a huge leap ahead of that, and we're going to get closer to where we want to be. We are leaning into international marketing because we know travelers are coming back, and there's more lift coming into Logan and even Bradley, even though it's in another state. So we're looking forward to bringing the international traveler back. But you're doing great work in this region. You have so much authentic destination to share, and congratulations.
In your perspective?
Okay, I can do that. As just mentioned, Ann Goby, Director of Rural Affairs. Before that, I served in the legislature for 21 years, and I do want to recognize some of my legislative colleagues. I see Rep. Scarsdale, and I know my good friend Senator Cronin is here or will be here, right? I see Susan and Rep. Sainer as well. You've got a great legislative delegation, and they've been a pleasure to work with. Just as was mentioned, part of my new role is to focus on some of the economic development in our rural communities. And I just want to throw this out there for you for a second. There's 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. 181 are considered rural. So we're more than half. We're more than half of the landmass of Massachusetts, but we're only about 15% of the population. And so that's where the struggle sometimes is that we have to make sure that our urban neighbors realize the importance of our rural communities. You know, people don't come here for the Walmart, right? They come here to be in nature, to experience what they cannot find in other places. And so that's part of my role, to not just really be a cheerleader, but to really show that the rest of the state needs our rural communities. They need us for the open space. They need us for the human capital, the talent that we have in our area. They need us for our food. They need us for our water. I represented an area where the Quabbin Reservoir is, and the towns of Dana, Enfield, Greenwich, and Prescott that don't exist any longer, to make sure Boston and now about 90 other communities have water, and that can't be forgotten. So we have an awful lot to offer in this area with the good work that Kate is doing, the good work that Roy, the members of the chamber, and that you're doing. And I don't know how you become an influencer, but I kind of think I'd like that. How do you do that? That sounds like I want to do that. That sounds cool. But we have a lot going for us, and we just have to continue to sort of beat that drum and make sure that people realize it. You know, the creative economy that's so extremely important to this area, and how we make sure that other people know about it. Because I think that's the thing, right? You know, that old adage, you build it, they will come. Well, we already have built it. We already have it. Just bring the people in, and we can figure out how to do that.
Thank you. So take a look at everybody out here. I think everybody here wants your money.
Where's Congresswoman Trahan? She's the one with the deep pockets.
No, I'm joking.
Okay, good.
But
Okay.
but along the lines of helping people be aware of what's here, reminding them, the marketing, the whole destination location theme that seems to be being adopted by many of the surrounding towns. My question is, are there specific grant opportunities that you could help us identify that all of us, or those in those particular positions to pursue them, what would be your advice to best position them for success?
Well, everybody always wants money. I often describe the tourism industry in Massachusetts as a pyramid or a triangle, not in a negative scheme sort of way. But MOT, the Massachusetts Office of Travel and Tourism, is the top. And then our regional tourism councils, of which there are 16, are the next layer. And then the local destination marketing organizations and chambers of commerce are the foundation of everything that we do across Massachusetts in marketing and communications for tourism. And it's really important that you work on your local base and that you partner with your regional tourism council, and that you also filter your information up to MOT so that we can share and get information out and invite people to come to your region, to your communities. To the money question, the MOT has a couple of different grant cycles in play right now. One is our Regional Tourism Council grant. So we have provided funding to the regional tourism councils so that they can execute their marketing plans and strategies. And it's really important that businesses are members of your regional tourism council so you can get on those coattails and work with those RTCs. We also have a Destination Development Capital Grant program. We have one more round. This is recovery marketing recovery dollars. One more round we're going to announce in the spring of 2024. And last year we gave away, or I should say this year, we gave away just over $2 million. We received requests for $10 million. So it's highly competitive. These are capital grants, so they're for brick and mortar projects or replacing your HVAC or making an exhibit accessible, that sort of work that's going to increase visibility and accessibility and improve the infrastructure for the destination. So those will be coming out. We'll announce them in the spring. We have an industry newsletter at MOT, and that's the best way to find out about funding opportunities. But otherwise, we don't have any. Those are the two grant buckets that we have, and that's why I think it's really important to work with your regional tourism councils and localities. Do you have money?
Well, yeah, sort of. First of all, I just saw Senator Groton come in, and, again, I have to say thanks to the legislature because they make sure that there is money appropriated for things like the cultural councils that I'm sure that you've benefited from before, Mass Cultural Council grants. In addition to that, within economic development, we have a one-stop community grants. And there's about 14 different programs within that, including things like the Rural and Small Town Development Fund, Downtown Initiative. And those are not open just to municipalities. Those are open to nonprofits as well. And so you might want to take a look. Those grants are going to be opening up again. You can get right on. It's a pretty user-friendly website, and you can kind of take a look what you're interested in, and it will the site will actually put you to which grants might make sense for you. In addition to that, and again, I know that you said Congresswoman Trahan's coming in, there's a lot of money coming out of the feds. There's about $17 billion with a B that's going to be floating around the next couple of years. And Massachusetts, and I give a lot of credit to the Healy Driscoll administration for positioning themselves in a way to be able to get at some of those funds, including using interest from the Rainy Day Fund on the state level to access almost $800 million. And by accessing that money, because one thing that I hear quite often, I'm sure that you have, and I know my friends in the legislature here, is that when people apply or want to apply for grants, they'll say, oh, wow, there's a $20,000 match or a $25,000 match. We can't even do the match to be able to apply for that. Well, guess what? That almost $800 million that the governor is freeing up is going to help with that. We'll give you that money to be that match so that you can go after those federal dollars. So I would encourage you, there's a lot happening in the next few years, a lot happening in just the next few months, and to be really engaged as you can.
Thank you. So I'm searching for a particular strategy that may be most effective in these applications. For example, here in Groton, we have a very vibrant sustainability commission. Yeah, and so would the collaboration between sustainability and Destination Groton, or in other towns, two departments in their towns, or a multi-town application, what approach would be more favorable?
Do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, well, I think as I mentioned, I think it depends on what you're applying for and what the grant is. You know, you can never have too many good partners, in my opinion, and I think that makes sense. And looking at things from a regional, especially, you know, you look at the folks in this room, not everybody's from Groton, you look at things regionally, because when you do something in this area, it doesn't just affect Groton, it affects the entire region. So yes, there are definitely ways to make sure that you're bringing in a lot of different partnerships, and I know that that's something, Roy, that does with the Chamber too, that you're bringing in more than just one group of people. The more the merrier, so to speak. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the more the merrier. You heard it. So this is great. Thank you both very much. I'd like to open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions? Becky Pine?
So this isn't a question, this is an idea, and having listened to you all talk. So it occurs to me, Bob and I just went on a trip in Vermont a couple weeks ago, an e-bikes in-to-in trip in Vermont. There's no reason why such a travel opportunity couldn't exist, and as you said, in the rural areas of central Massachusetts, because what you want is roads that don't have a lot of traffic on them. And the rise of e-bikes, appealing to retirees who have a little bit of money to spend, I think is a real opportunity for this area to look into e-bike travel. It's also, you know, getting outside and getting your exercise a little bit easier than on a regular bicycle. So I just want to put that idea out for all of you people who are planning and looking at tourism. You got to find the roads that don't have much traffic and match them up with the rail trails and create a route for people that is safe and fun, and you'll have people coming here.
Thank you, Becky. Any other questions?
I just want to. I want to respond to the comment with a comment, if I could. And I'm a huge fan of the e-bikes. I was just down in D.C. and we were e-biking all over the city. We have a new Office of Outdoor Recreation in Massachusetts, and I think they're a month old now. Paul came over from DCR, and so that. Whether it's an e-bike or a mountain bike or any sort of outdoor recreation, there's a good fit for developing some collaboration there. And one of the things that Mott is doing right now is we are making sure that we're reaching across agencies to see who is doing what and how can we work with the agencies and what's happening in Massachusetts already to elevate the story and amplify the narratives and the opportunities, whether it's DCR, outdoor recreation, agriculture. We just had some cranberries harvested, and that's a big tourism destination. Foliage. Groton was featured in a great online piece about best kept secret for foliage drives. Enjoy that best kept secret while you can. So anything like that, we would love to help promote at Mott, and especially anything new. It is free to add your business listings to visitma.com, and you can, once you have a business ID, you can also add calendar listings. So you can go to visitma.com, and at the bottom of the page, you can there's a link to create business listings. So whether it's a new initiative, an existing initiative, we need to know about it, and we don't know about it if it's not on our website, and we'd love to promote it.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hey, good morning. I'm Michael Ray Jeffries. I'm the chair of the Lunenburg Select Board. I'm also one of the vice presidents with Mass Development. So I have a comment and hopefully a question here as well. You know, one of the challenges that all governments have is, you know, we have to keep doing what we're already doing well. And as a small town in Lunenburg, we're weighed down by a couple of things. Number one being we need to build a new town hall. We've never built one, and we have an old church that we've been using. So now our town hall is split over 3 different buildings. We're trying to consolidate that. We're looking at about a $30 million price tag. And also the 40B process in the state, I think it's outdated at this point. What we're finding is that 40Bs in towns like Lunenburg are able to list affordable housing at a 3-bedroom unit going for $2,400, which I think we all would agree is not affordable and is not attracting the people it needs to. So as we're being weighed down by these things, we know that 40Bs bring more kids into the school system that we then need to be able to educate in an efficient and effective way. And so while we have these weights on us, we all are, in our community, we want to be more involved in the tourism. We've taken this long-range view with our conservation property, connecting into the Townsend Town Forest over the last 10 years. We've made multiple millions of dollars of investment in moving in this direction. But again, the challenge is, how do we commit tax dollars to making us better when we are still struggling to kind of do what we already need to do? And so I think that, what I would ask, and the question here is that this conversation happens in unison with the other challenges that communities are facing, that we want to get these tourism dollars, we want to invest in that kind of area, but if we can't overcome the challenges right in front of our face, then we can't get there. So any ideas or thoughts you have on that?
Sure. Couple quick things. Your comments have been heard. The Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, over the past 3 weeks, has done community meetings, met with local officials. There were 7 hearings that were held, 7 meetings throughout the state. I attended 5 of those 7, and that came up at every single one. So she has heard that loud and clear. There's been a bill in the legislature for a number of years, and I know that it's been refiled again. I think Senator Comerford may have refiled it. I'm not sure. And it has to do with coming up with a fund that would be similar to what we do for School Building Authority, and to have one for municipal buildings, because of those 351 cities and towns, every single one of them either needs a new town hall, a public safety building, something. And you mentioned, what, a $30 million price tag on that? Well, you times that by 351, and that's cheap in some places, right? So that's a big nut to crack. On the 40B, a new housing bond bill just came out. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look through that at all, and what the effect might be on Lunenburg. But again, that will find its way to the legislature, and my legislative colleagues, I know, looking into that now, and you'll have an opportunity. You'll probably get another 5 to 6 bites at that apple before it ever before it ever finishes up through the legislative process, because it will go to the bonding committees, it will go to the housing committees, it'll go to the Ways and Means committees before it ever gets back to the governor. So you're going to have plenty of opportunities to weigh in on those things.
Kate Fox, Ann Goby, thank you guys very much. We have a gift for you. You guys rocked it. Thanks so much. Really. Thank you so much, Ann.
Good morning. Thank you for having us this morning. My name is Melissa Federoff. I'm the president and CEO of the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce. A little bit about me. I am born and raised in the region. I moved to Shirley about 16 years ago. I've been with the Neshoba Valley Chamber. I've been employed for the Neshoba Valley Chamber for 21 years. Before that, I was a chamber member for 5. My first full-time job was actually down the street at then Concord Cooperative Bank. Many faces in the room familiar. Now I think it's Citizens Bank. So happy to be here. And one of the things that the Neshoba Valley Chamber has done for this year, we celebrated it would have been our 22nd anniversary, but it was our 20th because, the COVID. But we had our Taste of Neshoba, our 20th annual Taste of Neshoba, which we hold over at Lawrence Academy. And pre-COVID, we boasted anywhere from 800 to 1,000 attendees, 35 to 50 vendors that we showcased from the region. So we're happy to bring folks to the region for 20-something years, and partner with our town officials and friends here in Groton. So today we have a panel. Unfortunately, Representative Senna was not able to join us this morning. He's a little under the weather. But we have Senator John Cronin, and so I'm going to ask Senator to come on up, and Representative Scarsdale to come on up. How are you? So I gave my bio. I told a little bit about myself. So I'm going to invite Senator to share a little bit about himself and tell us about what brought you to being in the Senate.
Sure, absolutely. So first, good morning. It's great to be here with y'all today. I was listening to a book on my way over about Ben Bradley, who is the old editor of the Washington Post, and he said when he ran the Post, he tried to put out the best paper every day and then wake up the next morning and make it better. And that's when I think of the work that's going on in Groton, I think that sums it up pretty well. Nobody necessarily does it better, and every day they wake up and are asking for something else, which is to your credit. But I have served in the Massachusetts Senate this is my second term. It's the first term I've been representing Groton. Grew up down the road in Lunenburg. Graduated from West Point, the United States Military Academy in 2013, commissioned as an infantry officer, served in Afghanistan as a platoon leader and XO, was discharged as a captain in 2018, came back, went to law school, was bored in law school, so decided I'd run for state senate. Unfortunately, I won. But it's been an incredible privilege to be able to serve the community I grew up with in the state senate and be a part of the partnerships with Representative Scarsdale, with so many people here in this room to move our community forward.
And Representative Scarsdale, so you were a business owner. You started as a business owner, and you were involved in the community. So tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Melissa, and good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here, and I was thinking as other people were talking, when I look out over this room, I see so many amazing faces of people whom I know, and I also see amazing faces of people I want to get to know. So happy to be here, and thank you, Destination Groton Committee, for bringing us all together and putting this together. As Melissa said, I am a small business owner. I have a writing and editing consulting business, and I came to the State House in the most unlikely of ways. That was through a sandwich board, and that's because I was driving to our grocery store, the local store, and there was a sandwich board that said there was a gas pipeline meeting. And I'd never been one to go to meetings like that, but I went, and it was about a 3-year process of building partnerships all across the state, from Deerfield to Dracut, in church basements and community centers and people's living room. And the most amazing thing was nobody cared about your background, your party, your skin color, nothing. They cared about, were you willing to work on this issue we were facing, and could you help with that movement? And that was so powerful. And unfortunately, I had a chance to try that out very shortly after we defeated the Kinder Morgan pipeline, because Pepperell was slated for a toxic dirt site. And it was the same process all over again, people coming together to work on an issue and solve it. And I just was so enamored of that. So I ran for the Pepperell Select Board. I won, and I do remember thinking, literally when I was being sworn in, I had my hand raised, and I'm thinking, that's all well and good, that power over there, that ability of people to come together and make something. You're going to find it doesn't translate to the municipal side, and you're going to be very disappointed for 3 years. And nothing could have been further from the truth, because I think people are hungry to have something positive. It's something real and meaningful, not just a slogan, but to work on something together to build community. People feel that, and it is powerful. And I was fortunate to be able to run for the state senate in 2022 and succeed. I've loved being at the state legislature, even that, next level up order of magnitude of people having to work together. It works at the State House too, and it's not perfect. It's sometimes messy. But that ability to work through issues and come out on the other side with something that everybody can agree at least a little bit to, that is very hopeful for our future. And I have the great honor of serving with Senator Cronin and Rep. Sena. So that's how I got here.
Excellent. Wonderful. So we're here for a conversation about tourism. And what do you feel like the legislator's role is in that? And what can you guys bring to the table to help our businesses and help our regions bring tourists?
I'll take a first stab at it. One of the best parts about being in the legislature is you do get to travel across the state. And I have a very diverse district. I represent 10 communities here in north central Massachusetts. And I do believe the story of Massachusetts right now is in some respects a tale of two cities. We have places in the Commonwealth that are booming, and we have places here in the state that are in a doom loop. And I truly believe that political leadership at every level of government, local, state, federal, and public-private partnerships are critical to making sure that North Central booms, right? And we're in a position and we have an opportunity to do that and to grow a 21st century economy. I think of Groton as, kind of perfectly located between two industrial centers in this northern tier of Massachusetts, right? You've got Lowell and Lawrence to the east, and you've got the Twin Cities I represent in the state senate to the west, Fitchburg and Leominster. And when you think about, those two industrial centers, what kept them alive in the 20th century, those industries are gone or they've changed. And so, it's incumbent upon us to set the conditions that allows a new economy to flourish. And I think if you go down to Devon's and you understand what's going on there and the investment that's happening, you're gonna walk away optimistic, and you're gonna really believe in this region. And so, in terms of tourism, creating a place where people want to be and companies can come and stay is the ball game. And you do that through creating places and sustaining places with the amenities like Groton has. And it takes continual reinvestment and investment. And I think that's one thing that I'm really proud of working with Representative Scarsdale that we have tried to do is sustain the priorities and the investments that local leaders here in Groton have tried to make. And we've done that through the Squanicook River Rail Trail. We've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in state fundings in the last 3 years to create that place that belongs to everybody, right? That young families use, that seniors use, that's safe, that connects communities, towns into Groton. It's why the Groton Hill Music Center is so important. It's why sustaining funding for Willard Brook is so important. So all those things, they don't exist in a vacuum and they don't exist in a silo. They are connected to the broader parts and why what we're trying to do in here in North Central is existential. So supporting things at the local level absolutely inform and speak to those larger goals.
I would just add, I think I can say from firsthand experience that Senator Cronin, Representative Sena, and I are all in for whatever we can do to help uplift our towns and build diverse and sustainable and successful communities. I just want to tell you quickly, I met Greg Sheldon a couple of years ago in a tent at a Groton destination tent at Groton Fest, and he gave me his last copy of the Destination Groton Report, which I still have, although it's a lot more dog-eared, underlined, and sticky noted than it was when you first gave it to me. But that really helped solidify in my mind something I've been working on since the select board of bringing the towns together to talk about a regional vision. And earlier this year, we made that happen, getting all 6 towns together in a room every month with multiple representatives to talk about what is our vision for what is our regional vision, because I do believe this area, we are ready to embrace our identity as a destination, as a place to come. Those meetings have been really, really successful, and mostly because they're predicated on how are we going to build diverse voices, because that's the only way to have, if you don't include all voices, it's really hard to build a solution that is sustainable and that is vibrant. And not only a solution for our region, but also a solution for our future. So that is in the works, certainly with the support of the delegation. Executive Director Goby mentioned that bill that was in the legislature to address things that Michael Ray Jeffries was talking about. How can small communities afford these major municipal projects like consolidating 3 buildings into a town hall? So I actually am very proud that I filed that bill. The delegation is co-signers, and that, when you're building something like that, you're also letting money be free to do other types of tourism kind of work. So
we have a number of unique attractions in the room. We have Groton Hill Music. We have Gibbet Hill, great restaurant and facilities. We have Gage Cannabis, Great Wolf Lodge, Boxborough Regency, Forge and Vine, and the Groton Inn, obviously. I mean, we're here, so all right. What do you think are our region's most unique attractions that we're not maybe taking best advantage of? We have breweries coming to the region.
Do you want me to take a shot first? So I think we could talk another hour on this, and I'm pretty sure we have a timeline, but Pepperell has the Prudence Wright Bridge, where a woman named Prudence Wright during the Revolutionary War dressed up as a man with some of her women friends, because everybody else had marched to Concord, and they knew spies were coming down from New Hampshire, met those spies at the bridge and successfully disarmed them and got them carted off. So that you don't hear a lot of women's voices in history, so it's great to uplift her work and the courage that she had. Certainly our rail trails. We have the Nissitissit River, which has, I hear, the best fly fishing in the country. People come from all over to do that. We have various mountains, all of our conservation land. If you're not out visiting the conservation lands in these towns, it's spectacular. Of course, the Nashua River, wild and scenic, federally protected. It's just amazing, and I'll leave some for Senator Cronin.
No, I think there's so much, and there's so much to discover. I've lived here my whole life, and there is a new trail or a different conservation track that you can find every weekend, and I'm still doing that. So I think one of the things that perhaps we can do better within this region, that again I believe Groton is leading at through the efforts of Destination Groton, is tell the story and let people know what exists here and what they can take part in. Jim Latanzi, who I used to work for when I was in high school, but he's the owner of Hollis Hills Farm in Fitchburg, which is an incredible asset. He told me a story of a field trip of Fitchburg students who came up to Hollis Hills Farm to pick apples, and most come from a low-income, poor urban neighborhood that is 1 mile away from Hollis Hills Farm, and many of them had never picked apples, and many of them had never been in a setting like existed 1 mile away from them. So there is so much that we can share And I think part of the challenge is how do we tell that story, not just to people outside of North Central Massachusetts and outside of Groton, but inside it too.
So do we have any questions?
Oh.
Sure. We have the 250th coming up, and there are connections with this region to that whole thing. Have you guys know of any efforts ongoing to deal with the 250th? We already have, the Battle of Lexington conquered in a year and a half, and also independence.
Do you know if Kennedy's work?
No. It's weird. So what's that? Is that you? Yeah. Do you want to take it?
I hate to encroach on your time, but really quickly, there is a special commission for the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, and there are several nonprofits and organizations that are actively working on planning around the celebration and commemoration of the American Revolution. Mott is also working on this. We are interviewing for a 250th coordinator this week, and we are also building a plan for marketing and communication that I am hoping we have a lot more information on soon. So if anybody's working on it, let me know so you can be part of our stakeholders group.
That was a much better answer than what I was going to give.
All right, and I think our next speaker is ready. So thank you so much for being here and for all you do for our region.
I'd like to also thank the Destination Groton Committee as well as the Groton Business Association, who I worked with for years on trying to bring all of this to life. I will say that their vision in seeing what could be part of the future is really incredible, and I've been a resident of Groton for 24 years, and as a resident as well as the CEO of Groton Hill Music, we are thrilled to be in this community and in this region. Let me just kind of start by saying this is Groton Hill. We are about 3 minutes down the road. I know that many of you have already been to our location, and I know that some of you are coming to the tour later this afternoon, so we look forward to seeing you there. Next slide. Just in terms of our history, just to start, we actually are a older organization. We have been around for 38 years, and we have been providing high-end music education and performance all that time, although now we're certainly on a much larger scale than we were before. In 2014, we received a tremendous vote of confidence to be able to create Groton Hill Music Center, which is really a arts legacy and a gift to the entire community and the region. And we opened our doors in September of 2022. We have only been there now for a little over a year, and it has been an amazing last year with so much excitement and enthusiasm from all of those who have been attending with us. And we have really probably become the fastest growing arts organization in New England at this point in time. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about our mission. Our mission is to share the transformative power of music through teaching and performing and giving music generously when there is need. What I think is so important about our organization is that we are not just another performance venue or just a school. We actually have a very deep culture, and we're very committed to the community. Our values include everything from being a community of excellence that's open to all. We feel that we are a home for music and home for everybody to join us, and we do this through vibrant music experiences that foster personal growth, meaningful connections. We give back to the community whenever we can, and we're responsible stewards of all that has been given to us. Next slide, please. So this is our home. It's a 126,000 square foot building that's on and around 110 acres of land. Beautiful landscape. We have 35 music studios that support our community music school. We have 2 concert halls that are world-class concert halls, as well as 6 concession areas and a dining room that supports pre-concert dining for all of our concerts. It's just a lovely, incredible building. We are an educational institution, so we have a community music school that serves over 2,000 students from over 80 communities. We have 80 teachers, we have 35 instruments, and we have a comprehensive music education program. We are taking care of kids who are 1 year old coming to our Music for Aardvarks programs with their caregivers all the way up to adults. About 30% of our students are actually adults, and we're providing everything including private lessons, beginner classes, we have regional ensembles, we're doing summer programs, very robust summer programs, as well as vacation programs. So we are doing things all the time in our school. It is truly a place that is just hopping and busy all the time. Next slide, please. We are also a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means we do rely on the donations from our communities, from individuals, from businesses, from the government to be able to support everything that we do. We believe in giving music generously, as I said, and we do this in a number of ways. We have everything from need-based scholarships that we provide free community concerts. We have something called our box lunch concerts, which are concerts that are given to people from assisted living facilities who are struggling with mental or physical impairments. We have a hospice choir that sings at the bedsides of individuals at the end of life. And we also have a very robust volunteer program where we have over 150 volunteers, and they are living our mission as well in terms of being ushers and greeters and ticket takers and wayfinders, living the same values that we as an organization have as well. Next slide, please. We're also out in the public schools. There are definitely those regions and those cities and towns that do not have access to high-quality music education. And we believe it's essential that those students have the same opportunities as others have. So we are therefore in the towns of Fitchburg, Lowell, and Lawrence. We're in Boys and Girls Clubs in Leominster and Gardner. We're out in Clinton. And we are providing free music education to those students who otherwise would not have access to such opportunities. We have 32 programs in 10 communities, and we directly educate over 1,000 students through those programs. Next slide, please. So then we have our concert halls, which is always the big, huge thing that everybody's excited about. We have 2 concert halls. We have a 1,000-seat concert hall and a 300-seat concert hall. These are world-class halls. They have been acoustically designed to provide an exceptional experience, and they're honestly quite beautiful. I will tell you, for those of you who have been there, you know the pictures do not do them justice, and I hope that those of you who come to the tour later will agree on how beautiful these are. These are a very intimate place. When you go in, even the 1,000-seat hall, you feel very close to the performers, the acoustics, the materials that have been used. Everything is just incredible and world-class in both of these halls. Next slide, please. So we offer a huge diversity of artists. We do many genres of music, everything from classical to Celtic to jazz to traditional, bluegrass, singer-songwriter. And we have a huge diversity of artists that we are presenting on our stages. As I said, we've only been in this new location since September. So our Meadow Hall opened in October, so it's been operating for just about a year. Our concert hall opened in January, so it hasn't even been a year yet. And already we have been serving tens of thousands of concert attendees who have been coming to all of these concerts. There's a lot more that's coming. You can see in just a short period of time, we're bringing superstars out here to Groton. We've got everyone from Leslie Odom Jr. to Leanne Rimes to Bruce Hornsby, all of these people that have been coming out on our stages to just provide an incredible experience for everyone who comes and joins us at Groton Hill. And there's going to be a lot more down the road. We're announcing things all the time, so there's always something new happening at our location. Next slide, please. What I wanted to do is show you, we call it dynamic stages, but this gives you a sense. This is really a top-level music institution and a performance venue. Everything from acoustics to lighting to stage and to the artists that are on stage to the experience that people get from beginning to end. You know, Destination Groton talks about enjoying the experience. We believe in an incredible experience from the time someone arrives at our location until the end of the night, that they are going to just have an incredible time experiencing music, connection, community, and everything that goes with it. Next slide, please. What's also important about our organization is that we integrate music education with performance. We feel it's very important as a community music school that we also provide opportunities for students to be able to interact with some of these artists. So whenever it's possible, we actually will have these high-end artists that are doing workshops or master classes with our students, and when available, we actually have those students perform on stage at a concert. So maybe that's how the concert ends, is that all the kids that come from Fitchburg and Lowell get bussed over, or we have our youth orchestras and they're able to perform on stage with these artists. That is a life-changing experience like nothing else. It adds confidence. It's inspiring. It's inspiring to the audience as well as to the artists who are helping these kids as well as to the kids themselves. And we feel it's a really important part that makes us special, that we're able to integrate education and performance in this way. Next slide, please. So overall, life is hard right now. Everything is challenging. People are isolated. They're stressed. They're anxious. There's mental health concerns. Music does something that a lot of other things do not. Music adds a bridge. Music gives people something that they can feel connected to. They can feel connected to the music, connected to the people that are with them. It makes a difference in their lives. It can add joy. It can add happiness. And I think that's one of the most important things that we have in today's world, is that arts and culture does this in general, and music does this specifically. And it's really important to understand that. For us at Groton Hill, we're a warm and welcoming environment where we believe that everyone should have a sense of belonging, where everyone is accepted, respected, and valued. We want to be an inclusive environment, and I think that's very important that we have this in this area so that people can feel the joy that comes with music. Next slide, please. Of course, we've been talking about economic issues here, so just to kind of give you an overview, what I really want everyone to realize is that we have invested a tremendous amount in the expertise and the artistic resources, so that what we are providing here in this wonderful town is actually every bit as incredible as you would get if you were in an urban venue. We provide the same thing that you can get in Boston, because we have, again, the acoustics, the visual, we have the stage presence, the lighting, everything that goes with it, as well as the expertise to actually make these concerts be something that is so incredible. So there is life outside of Boston. I know that everybody thinks that there isn't, but there is, and we all know it because we live out here. And this is one way that we can do that. I also want to comment that Groton Hill supports the local community in many ways. We are an employer. We have over 100 jobs that we're currently providing, and that will grow over time. We support local businesses by working with them as our vendors. We have a dining room where we support local food purveyors by partnering with us. We support the gig economy, and we also donate $2 from the sale of every professional performance ticket to the town of Groton, because they're our host community. We love being here, and we want to be able to help support everything that goes on in the town of Groton. Next slide, please. So I've been talking about Groton Hill because that's my job, and that's where I work and everything else. But as I said, I've lived in Groton for 24 years, and what's really important here, as we all know, is it's not just about Groton Hill. It's about the region. This is an incredible region that offers so much to people when they come out here. We're talking about everything from nature, recreation, arts and culture, education, community, all the activities and the events. There's a feeling out here that is so incredibly important, and we want people to know about it. Roy earlier talked about tourism and how that all is bringing people in. There's so much to do out here, and to be honest, Groton Hill is a catalyst for making that happen, because people are going to be coming out to go to a concert. We have seen people come from all over so far. We have actually had over 500 cities and towns from New England and beyond have been coming out, people from those locations. We've had people from Rhode Island. We've had people from Florida. I just saw people from Texas buy concert tickets the other day. This will happen. These kinds of things are coming this way. And I think it's important that we all recognize what's coming, and we can use this as one catalyst out of the many catalysts that go on here within the region to be able to really support tourism and make a difference throughout the area that we are. We consider that Groton Hill is really an apex destination, because what's happening is that this is a catalyst to bring people in. People are going to come in. If already in the first year we have been serving tens of thousands, we're still going. We're adding more concerts, more things are happening. There is this entire world out there of people that are going to want to come and enjoy everything that we have to offer out here. So I commend the Destination Groton Committee, all of you, for being here, our government officials who are here, because I really do think that there's a huge emerging opportunity, and we need to anticipate it and get ahead of it. These people are going to come here, and they're going to want holistic services. They're going to want to be able to have a broader experience. They might come for a concert, but there's so much more that they can experience out there. And I really think that now is the time for that to happen, and I'm glad we're talking about these things at this point, because I just think the future is quite incredible for all of us. So thank you very much.
you want to take any questions?
If anyone has a few questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yes.
Mark Matthews from Pepperell.
Hi, Mark.
You folks have done an incredible job in marketing, whether it's social media, print media, and I think if we all did as half of it as jobs you did, we could bring in hundreds of thousands of people in the community.
Oh, thank you.
Well, the question is, how do you do it? What's the secret?
You know, I have to say that our staff is incredible. We have a tremendous staff of people. I always tell people will ask me, wow, you've got a lot going on. If we're going to work, that's the kind of thing you want to be doing, quite honestly. And I think there's a huge amount of enthusiasm from our staff. And we've worked hard to figure out how to have the right people in place, which I know in this economy is hard sometimes to find the right people. I've been very lucky. I've got a great group of people who are there working every day, trying to get things done. We focus a lot on social media, which is critical and important. We try to get our name out there through, public. We don't have a PR firm. We don't have outside consultants. We do it all in-house. And I actually, for me personally, I think that that's better because we know ourselves and we know what we want to get across. And I think that changes the messaging a little bit for us particularly. But I think it's all about kind of getting a strategy in terms of what you want to accomplish. Who do you want to get to? Lots of data. You need to look at data and understand who are the people that are coming to you, why might they be coming to you, who do you want to get to, how do you broaden that reach. They're A/B testing in terms of things, so we tried this didn't work well, this worked better. It's a lot of analytics, I think, that you need to look at in terms of how to do things. I will say that I appreciate the compliment. This kind of helps. Just in general, this is so exciting, and I think that there are people coming to us only because they look and they go, what is that? And it's amazing. So I will say, not to take away all the things that my staff does, which are absolutely wonderful, but this does help and it makes a difference. So, yes?
Thanks. I can see why Gary Shepard always speaks so highly of you.
Oh.
He's not easy to please.
Oh, thank you. Sure. Well, there's a couple of things. I would say, we are a nonprofit, so we do have sponsorships, and we work with businesses quite a bit. And we have sponsors such as the Groton Inn, for instance, who has sponsored our concerts. And in those ways, you actually end up with digital signage at concerts. We have this beautiful screen behind the stage, and that kind of shows all the businesses and everything that's going on there. We have ways that you could advertise, and that kind of thing is helpful as well. And also, certainly, the Destination Groton website, I think, is a wonderful place to be able to be talking about what's going on and what's happening. So I think that that's important too. And then I think it's really just about, people will research and see what's going on. If they're coming out to Groton and they're going to be staying, I think that you might find that they will actually go to the Destination Groton website and check out things. Or they might be staying at the Groton Inn, and we've done a lot of work with the Groton Inn as well for these kinds of things. So I think it's kind of getting the word out in a bunch of different ways, and once people are coming, we certainly tell people about things that they could do. If they call our box office and they're asking about things, we'll let them know what's going on in the region and encourage them to look and do some more research too. Sure. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all.
Isn't she terrific? I think it was Margaret mentioned the report we did through the GBA 3 years ago, which kicked all this off. A number of us in the community through the Business Association said, gee, in 2 years, there's going to be this new arrival of Groton Hill music. It wasn't called Groton Hill music back then, but it was, we said, how do we get out in front of that and embrace what's going to happen and make the best things happen for the community as a result? We organized a working group of 6 of us, and we had 2 advisors. John from Omni Hill here at the inn was involved, and Lisa. And she still sounds like a member of our committee, doesn't she? I want to introduce our keynote speaker. We are very pleased that Lori Trahan could join us this morning. Congresswoman Lori Trahan proudly represents Massachusetts' 3rd Congressional District, made up of 35 cities and towns, including her hometown of Lowell. Lori decided to run for Congress in 2018, the first time she ever sought public office, because she wanted to expand economic opportunity for working families in Massachusetts. As a member of the powerful House Committee on Energy and Commerce, Lori is an advocate for 3rd District residents, working to expand access to affordable, quality health care, end the addiction crisis, rebuild our infrastructure, tackle climate change, protect kids online, and more. She also serves on the House Democratic leadership as a senior whip and is a member of the Democratic Steering and Policy Committee. Lori has secured hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding for local infrastructure projects, small businesses, health centers, community organizations, and more. It is my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Lori Trahan.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is great to be here in Groton today for such a great conference, and to kick it off, I can say with confidence that my day is going to go downhill after this. I am heading back down to Washington, and it's been an interesting time. But it is an honor to be here as your keynote speaker for the Regional Tourism Conference, particularly considering the all-star lineup of speakers that you have. Certainly, I get to work with our state delegation day in and day out. They're incredible partners on Beacon Hill, Senator Cronin, Representative Scarsdale, Representative Cena, who I know isn't here today, the Haley Driscoll administration, Kate Fox, who, if you haven't heard from already, she'll be here, Ann Goby, who I got to work with as a state senator, but now heading up rural affairs, such an important part of this administration's competitiveness agenda, and so many of our regional chamber heads too. So you've amassed all the thought leaders here to think about the future, which is so exciting. And there's so much to get to in such a short period amount of time, but I just want to start by giving a shout out to the Destination Groton Committee. Greg, Jeff, Joni, Julie, Myri, this conference is a culmination of 2 years of your hard work. When we met at the Groton Hills Music Center, which is incredible, by the way, back in February, we discussed our shared vision for a regional approach to tourism that spans across the 3rd Congressional District. And right at the heart of our district is Groton. Being nestled evenly between Fitchburg and Lowell presents a unique opportunity to coordinate with the gateway cities and all the surrounding towns to take advantage of all that our district has to offer. And I truly believe that no time is better than the one that we're living through now, and that's because our district is seeing unprecedented investments in our infrastructure, in our environment, our great outdoors, and our national parks. The bipartisan infrastructure law is delivering nearly $10 billion in federal formula funding to the state of Massachusetts. And we're working to make sure that we double that amount through the competitive grant process that's also included in those packages. Funds are already being allocated to efforts to improve roads like Route 2, rebuild our bridges like the Rourke Bridge in Lowell, so that parents can safely get their kids to school, get themselves to work, and visit incredible towns like this one. They're being invested in river cleanup projects like the Nashua and the Merrimack rivers so that we can stop combined sewage overflows, we can prevent pollution, and we can protect our waterways for generations to come. Another suite of projects receiving federal funds that I'm particularly excited about is our rail trails. In fact, yesterday I was just in Concord touting $10 million in federal infrastructure funds to connect the Bruce Freeman rail trail at the Acton border. And we all know, you all know in this room, families across our region, they cherish, they love, they rely on increasingly our rail trails, just like the Nashua River Rail Trail right down the road. And we're going to make sure that we make them better, that they're more accessible through these bipartisan infrastructure funds. At the same time, funding from the Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act are putting us on a course to address the climate crisis here locally. The push for expanded EV access, coupled with funding to expand our region's charging network, will mean that families wanting to catch a show at the Music Center or explore the art galleries here in Groton can do so while minimizing their carbon footprint. And federal laws like the Great American Outdoors Act are helping our incredible national parks, Minuteman, Lowell, clean up their deferred maintenance logs and continue to upgrade their exhibits, which will only bring more visitors to the region. The Healy administration, as you probably know, is very much focused on competitiveness. How do we bring more employers to our state? How do we bring more employees? And how do we bring more tourists and visitors to our great state? That's just a small example of the kind of investments that we're seeing across our region, and it underscores the importance of the work that you're doing here in Groton. Look, I want to be on the same page when I go down to Washington, speaking with one voice. If I'm at the Department of Transportation, I want to tell them what project is best for the region for them to invest in. If I'm at the EPA, I want to be able to say, this is a cleanup project worth prioritizing. And that's how we'll bring home even more funds beyond what we're already getting automatically through President Biden's Invest in America agenda. And it'll maximize the impact, not just of the landmark laws, but of all of your efforts. So collaboration is going to be key as we look toward major events that are on the horizon. There's incredible tourism opportunities underway. The 250th anniversary of our nation is rapidly approaching with our region's rich history, celebrations, already in the works, like Concord 250. It's going to take partnership across local, state, and federal government in coordination with all of you to make sure that this momentous occasion is a success for our entire region. All that to say, there is a lot of work ahead, but when it comes with tremendous opportunity, and it comes for a tremendous opportunity for what the future holds for Groton. So I'm excited to be a partner in the work. I'm excited to see what we're all going to accomplish together, and certainly excited about the bold vision that you've laid out and begin to deliver on that. So thank you for letting me start my morning so close to home with a bunch of smiling faces. I'm happy to take a few of your questions before I head out to the airport.
Terrific. Thank you. So we're open for some questions. I first want to recognize Ian Flood, representative from Representative Senator's office. The representative was not able to make it this morning, but thank you for coming, Ian. So any questions for the Congresswoman? Oh, come on. There's got to be something on your mind. I wake up with questions. I'll ask myself a question. No?
How do we fix Washington?
Yes.
Thank you. Not as serious of a question as fixing Washington, but thank you, Congresswoman, for joining us today. I'm Jacob Burr. I'm with the Education Alliance, and we are here representing Destination Winchendon. I think a big question on everyone's mind is, how do we go about accessing federal funds, especially for a small town that just really needs updating? Yeah. What can we do in that sense?
It's a great question, and one that, thank you. When you consider the magnitude and volume, just in pages, of what we passed in the last Congress, and I'll put them in the buckets, right? There's the bipartisan infrastructure law. There's the CHIPS and Science, which is, aimed at bringing manufacturing, making things back in the United States again. The Inflation Reduction Act, which isn't, it's not named well because it doesn't really encapsulate what's in there, right? It's lowering prescription drugs for seniors, all these clean energy investments, making sure that we enforce our tax code by collecting taxes off the richest people in the United States. And then there's the Safer Communities Act, which was the first bipartisan gun reform in decades. The PACT Act, which finally gives veterans, access to care, especially those who were exposed to burn pits and toxic chemicals. I mean, it was incredible how many, but it all happened at once. And the challenge when you have all that, after years of maybe inaction, is that it's a lot to sift through. It's too much to sift through. A town like Winchendon, a town like Groton, even a city like Lowell, they don't have the resources to parse through all the programs that are available to them. So I sit on the Regional Leadership Committee down in Washington. There's 12 of us who sort of caucus with the administration, with the president's team, to say, how do we make this easier for municipalities? How do we streamline? How do we market? How do we, in the beginning, it was how do we make sure that towns like Winchendon, towns with 5,000, 10,000 people, qualify, right? Because historically, towns have gotten left out of these huge programs. That changed in the bill. There's plenty of competitive grant opportunities. And we have to get them out the door faster. We have to make sure that your community is feeling the impact of this legislation so that people kind of understand that government can work. It can work for them. It can work for your town and your city. Our team, and this might be a result of us being in the minority right now, but we've completely switched to implementation. I've got 18 people on my team, 9 in DC, 9 up here, and we are leaning into helping our towns identify projects, identify grant opportunities, funding opportunities, where the state will put in matching funds, all the plus-ups that we did with the state revolving clean water fund. We want to make sure that that gets to our community. So $9.5 billion from federal formula funding is going to come to Massachusetts for the infrastructure, but we really do want that to double to $20 billion because there's so much that are going to be direct to municipality grant opportunities for smaller towns. So if you don't know Jake already, get to know him today. Get on his email list. He does regular Zooms. We put out not just the NOFOs that are imminent, but we give a look ahead so you can start planning. We get the grant writing part is hard. We've actually been pretty, and Mark can attest to this, we've been pretty proactive in getting communities to collaborate, to one, increase their competitiveness of application, but then also to share resources, right? Because not every town has the resources that are required to chase a funding opportunity. So we're here to help. We're here to work with you, point you in the right direction. The Healy administration has stood up an entire team of people to help with that. So there's, I would say Massachusetts, not surprisingly, is well poised to capture, their fair share of funds from the feds.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Yes.
I don't know where you're going.
Is that me? Just quick clarification. Jock Snade, Townsend Historical Society. If I call up Jake tomorrow and say, I'm looking for a water turbine, he'll be able to help me find that in the federal grants?
Oh, I love the specificity. So good to be home. So not all of the programs. So if there isn't already one that would, a program that would qualify for a specific, procurement of a turbine, what we are pushing on the administration, and this probably sort of levels up to me, is there's all sorts of programs that they have not given guidance yet. But we know sort of the intention of the law, right? We know when we wrote it, it was for, making sure that small municipalities had, things that could help with their resiliency, their cleanup projects, whatever it might be, sustainability. So what we're doing is we're kind of pushing on, with you. I mean, I don't like to, but like, we've never had this level of investment. Like literally, not in my lifetime, not in anybody's lifetime here, where so many agencies are putting out programs, new programs. Some of them are, plus-ups where, they're just expanding or they got more money. But a lot of them are brand spanking new. And they have to be written. And the guidance has to be, vetted. It has to be, published. So some of those, it could be already, and I don't know this off the top of my head, I apologize. There could already be a program for something like that. And then sometimes, we send, funds for, for types of programs that the state will administer. And, very often, I mean, I've done it with Senator Cronin a number of times, Representative Scarsdale as well, where they use, earmarks for ARPA funds because those were very flexible, buckets of dollars. We use our community projects so that we can help directly get funds to a town if it doesn't fit within the program. But to answer your question, yes, start with Jake. If he cannot find your answer, if he can't find your answer, he will be exhaustive in answering it. Look at him already with the card. Great.
Yes, my name is Becky Pine. I'm on the Groton Select Board. I want to thank you for being here this morning.
Great to see you.
I want to talk about an up-and-coming problem, PFAS in the water. We understand that the federal EPA, I guess, is going to enact some standards which are very strict, and I certainly support that. So my question or my pitch is that it's very expensive to clean up PFAS. So after the federal government puts strict standards on, I hope there will be a lot of money available. And my particular pitch is that I hope you will make it retroactive, because we in Groton we're in the process right now of voting to spend an incredible amount of money to fix a PFAS problem at our high school that the Massachusetts DEP, DCF, whatever they are, is requiring us to do. So I think, we're in the vanguard of people who are having to do this. It would be nice if and when federal money becomes available for PFAS cleanup, that those of us who've already had to do it might be able to access some of that money.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And PFAS has been an issue since I got sworn into a conference. I think Congress, and one of my first meetings was in AIR. They had a PFAS issue right in 2019. And, many towns used their ARPA funds, Littleton, AIR as well, to have treatment plants for their water. We have increased the funding in our appropriations process for clean water, which PFAS is now a part of. And also, the infrastructure law was a huge boon for our state revolving clean water fund, which also includes PFAS. Most of that comes through loan forgiveness, but it's absolutely something that we know we're going to be at for a while, especially in this part of the state, this part of the country. So we know that this is an issue. It was really great that a few years ago we got authorization for PFAS, because for a while it wasn't, these forever chemicals were not recognized in the text of our authorizations for the Clean Water Revolving Fund. But we're going to work hand in glove with the state delegation to make sure that communities here who are, making the investment to clean the water supply, to ensure safe drinking water for our communities, are at the front of the line for those federal loan forgiveness programs. That's the intention of having those funds come to the state, and we'll work with our Beacon Hill partners to make sure But, appreciate it. I know you're in a tough spot, right? And I also know that you collaborated with surrounding towns, because anything you can do to defray the cost to taxpayers in one town is an important step forward, and one that, Mark and I actually talked a lot about. But it's so important that we treat the safe drinking water with urgency, and we're going to make sure that we can defray as much of that investment or of that that loan payback as possible.
So, Lori, we have a gift for you, a gift bag, but people have been asking what's in it. So I want you to put that on.
Put it on right now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if I could have the other speakers come up for a group photo. So we can do a group photo.
At least it's not a hard hat or
No.
goggles. I can do this.
And that's... I want to thank everyone for coming this morning. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce, the North Central Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce, and where's Jeff? Jeff and the Groton Business Association. So if I could have the speakers come up, we'll take a group shot. Mark, get up there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the experience.